Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing the final assembly on the Blacksmith's brace that I've been working on in the last few videos. Specifically, I'm going to be adding the rotating part of the handle, the part that sits in the palm of your hand, to the crank handle. And by adding these two pieces, it turns this into a usable tool. As it sits, it's not a very convenient tool to use because the bits aren't locked in to a chuck in any way, so anytime you hold the brace in a vertical position, they're just going to fall out. But I can now test it and determine whether it'll even do the work that I want it to do, and if it does, I can figure out the bit problem later on and any other problems that may show up. I think it'll work great, but you're never really sure until you actually try it. The first thing that I need to do is to create a thick washer that's going to be riveted to the end of the crank handle. The easiest way to do that is to use a curved hot cut to cut a slug out of a heavy bar. It doesn't really matter what size it is, the washer just needs to be large enough to keep the two pieces together. Using a curved hot cut to rough out the shape just saves a lot of grinding and filing later on. If you're careful how you lay out the circle, this slug can pretty much be used as is without hardly any refinement at all. It doesn't have to be a machine fit, it just has to keep the two pieces from sliding apart from each other. So here I'm getting ready to measure where the washer needs to sit on the crank handle. The handle needs to be able to rotate, and the washer is just there to keep the two pieces from coming apart, so it can be a pretty sloppy fit. When the handle's assembled, I'm going to use a piece of chalk to scribe a line that's roughly 1/4 of an inch above the top pivot point. If I create a shoulder right there for the washer to sit on, it's going to sit well below the top part of the handle, so there's not going to be any danger of it starting to grind into your hand as you're rotating the crank, but it's still going to give lots of room for the handle to rotate freely. I'm going to be using a vise insert to hold the handle in the vise while I'm filing the tenon for the washer. As you can see, this vise insert is set up to handle all of the round bars that I commonly use. If you don't use a vise insert to clamp a piece of round bar in the jaws of the vise, chances are you're going to have to over tighten the vise, and that's going to create flat sections on the sides of the tenon. And that could prevent the pieces from fitting together properly. Here I'm finding that the forging scale has created a pretty tough coating on the outside of the bar, so I can't really apply enough pressure with the tenon held vertically. So I'm going to change my approach slightly. I'm going to need to start this tenon by rotating the vise insert 90 degrees. That puts the tenon in a horizontal position and allows me to apply a lot more pressure downward and cut through that fire scale. Once I've cut through the fire scale all the way around the bar, I can turn the vise insert back to the horizontal position and file the tenon the way I normally would. I'm looking for the washer to be a fairly tight fit on this tenon. I want to have to drive the washer down to the shoulder and then do very minimal amount of riveting to lock the washer in place. So when I feel that I'm getting close to the final size, I'm doing very little filing and a lot of fitting to make sure that I don't overshoot the mark. Another handy tool that I use quite often, even though I don't have any footage of it here, is a drafting hole template. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but they're those plastic sheets with all the different size holes in it. You can also use a drill gauge. That allows you to place a slightly oversized hole over the tenon and allows you to see any irregularities. So you can get the tenon round and just file away the areas that you need to make it fit perfectly. So here's the brace fully assembled and ready for its maiden voyage. I've also checked it for alignment. The bit needs to line up with the handle in both directions. If it's veering off in any way, you're going to need to correct that. Otherwise, you won't be able to drill a straight hole. I'm going to spray a little oil on the handle and give it a test run. And as you can see, it's working just fine. I'm able to apply all the pressure that I need downward without distorting the handle, and I'm turning the drill without hardly applying any effort at all. So I just need to figure out the chuck problem, and this is ready to go into my Colonial toolbox. Hi, I'm Dennis, and thanks for watching. If you're interested in supporting this channel, the simplest way, of course, is to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have questions and you want to contact me directly, you can do so by emailing me at either one of the addresses that I have listed here. It may take me a couple of days, but I will get back to you. Of course, financial support is always welcome. The only product that I produce is the information contained in these free videos. So if you like the work that I'm doing and the videos that I'm putting out, and you can spare a couple of dollars a month, consider becoming a patron by clicking the orange Patreon logo at the bottom of the screen. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.